Yeah, good evening, everybody, and happy Thursday night. And welcome to the Red Zone, where we dig into educational topics that just make us better as leaders within our buildings. My name is Dean Packard, and I'm the principal of Charlton Middle School in Charlton, Massachusetts. And we've got a cast of individuals with us tonight. And I'll tell you what, I'm not going to do it justice. So we're going to kick it around the table, and everyone's going to say hello. And again, happy Thursday night to all of you. And remember, we're streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and I forget where else, but we're having fun and we're getting better. Chris, kicking it your way.
Hey, Dean, thanks very much. Hey, everybody. Chris Starcheski. I'm the principal at Dudley Middle School and co-founder of Unlock the Middles platform. We came here tonight, like we do every week, to go ahead and talk with educational leaders from around the country. And we've got the South covered this evening, as well as the Northeast. Our job is really to build a good, solid professional learning community and come up with an understanding of how we can be better instructional leaders based on our experiences and the voices of others in our world. So I'm really psyched to be here tonight. It's been a little while since I've been involved in our show because of family obligations and everything else. So I'm fired up to be back here and on with you. Hey, let's go ahead and introduce our guests tonight. Well, and not really a guest, kind of a co-host at this point. Josh Tovar, how are you? Let everybody know who you are, where you're from, and what you do.
Hey, everybody. Josh Tovar, proud principal of Memorial Pathway Academy here at the Red Zone, making sure that I learn from Beatris, from Les, from Chris, from Dean, everybody. And not only all the group here, but also I know it's a little bit late. It might be a little bit early over there in California, but we want to learn from you. So, hey, California. Hey, Alaska. Hey, Hawaii. Hey, Puerto Rico, if you're still awake, talk to us. Let us know what you're facing today. Because you know what? This little vignette that we have right here, this small show is worldwide. And we're all facing the same situation. We're facing the same obstacles. It doesn't matter if it's El Paso. It doesn't matter if it's New York City. We're all going through it together. And the only way we're going to move ahead, most importantly, get our students ahead, is if we're stronger together. But you know what? That's just me. That's the Jaguars. How about right next to me, right over here, Beatris, talk to us.
Buenas noches, good evening, good night to everyone. Yes, Josh, it is late. I'm here in Garland ISD. My name is Beatriz Martinez. I'm the proud principal at the Classical Center at Vile Elementary. In this big, huge district called Garland. We call it Garland, USA. Dallas is a little suburb from where we are at. And you know what? It's late, but I really see how powerful it is that when we come together, brainstorm ideas, and just, admitting we don't have the solutions to everything. And that's why we need each other. So I want to thank you for inviting me and having me here. I'm looking forward to the learning that I know will happen tonight.
It's great to have you back. You've been on before, and we've been lucky enough to have you here. So welcome back to the table. Les, you're up, my friend.
Hello, everyone. So my name is Les Harris. I'm from El Paso, Texas. I'm the IB coordinator at Coronado High School here. We have a diploma program. I've seen the podcast a few times, and I'm kind of glad that I'm part of it. I'll see what I can learn from you all.
It's great to have you. Hey, here we go. Climate in schools. Okay, this is a loaded question, and I don't know where it's going to go because as leaders, there's just a bunch of things happening in all of our schools across the country. And most importantly, we're looking for good, solid learning opportunities for kids, supportive climate for teachers, and a connectivity to our learning communities. And I guess, you know what? I'm going to start this off with Josh Tovar. You're the one who came up with the topic tonight along with all of our friends here. So let's kick it right down to you to start.
Back in, I think 2006, the principal I worked for at Estrella High School, Mr. Jerry Lee, talked to us about, hey, it's almost spring break, and this is the time that people stop popping. The negativity, the noise, people get on edge, and whatever might happen that was in the past is going to really surface. So you need to do everything possible to make sure that we provide them that support, provide them those words, be there, aka the fish philosophy, be there for them to make sure they feel comfortable. And you know what, since I had that, he told us about that, I've noticed it since then, and going into this young 30 years in the career, Dean, it's true. It's very true during this time. And now, with this disease that we faced the last couple of years, it's just has made it worse because of the uncertainty. And this whole year with the kids out for 5 days, out for 10 days, teachers out for 5 days, for 10 days, yes, a mask, no a mask, the Texas two-step here, there, it's been very frustrating. Not having enough teachers in the classroom, not having enough substitutes. It has truly been a chaotic year for so many. And if you hear Principal Cafele's podcast, and you know how he's a national speaker all over, he talks about every Saturday that when teachers talk to him, that they're an extra kind of tired. Yeah. There is no tired like this year's tired, because we barely came out of last year. We try to survive it, and now with this variable that I just described, it's been very difficult. And you know what? The campus that I work in, that I have the pleasure of supporting, it's a small school, but it doesn't matter. I can't imagine what's happening in a school like Les with 2,300 kids, something like that. It's just amazing. And that's why I'm very honored to be in this beautiful profession. But it's a very challenging time, whether it be a small school or a large school. And that's why I keep on repeating that we all need to stick together. We cannot be silos as administrators. We cannot be within our own philosophy or idea, because you know what? This book has never been written before. We're all going through this for the very first time. And if anyone thinks that they're arrogant enough to survive it without any kind of help, God bless you. You're a better person than I am, but there's no way. We need to support each other, reach out to each other, because you know what? Even us, because we need to have that smile, we need to have that support, but it's all draining on our chair. It all lays on our shoulders. And we always got to be the positive one. Hey, we always got to be the happy one. But you know what? We're human. Mm-hmm. We're not always happy. We have our own burdens at our own home. So it's crucial that we find a solution to make sure that we reach out to each other and say, hey, are you okay? Hey, Les, are you okay? Hey, Beatriz, are you okay? Is everything all right? And for the most part, what are we all going to say? Hey, yeah, thanks for checking up on me. I'm okay. I'm good. Thank you. And you keep on rolling along. But you know what? It feels good that you get that message. So if I was to say anything, we need to keep on doing that even more so right now, because now the state tests are coming. Talk about the nuclear power plant about to explode. Yeah. So it's very important that right now, all of us keep on reaching out to each other and say, I got your back.
Yeah, Josh, I'm listening to you talk, and first off, your reference to the fish philosophy, thank you. Being present, be there, play, make their day. We've got to take care of those things, and our job is to be the activator, right? We're the first one in the morning. We're the greeter at the door. We're fired up. We send out our morning message. We get on the PA for the announcements, and we're jazzed and we're grinding. But what you just referenced about our personal world, hey, we've all got baggage, right? We've got to recognize everybody who walks through our front door, from child to cafeteria worker to custodian to teacher to para to administrator. We've got a story, and we've got bags we bring. And we have to sometimes check them at the front door. But, recently, going through some personal challenges, right? Family challenges. Teachers have no idea what everybody goes through. But I think the importance of being a leader is understanding that we've got to express our vulnerabilities as well, when the time is right. So folks understand that, yeah, we're doing the job. We're not going to slack off and drop off the radar about, our level of performance. But we've got a lot going on too. We've got to express our vulnerabilities, let folks know that we're going through real world experiences just like them, and acknowledge those types of things. And, sometimes folks in leadership positions don't do that well enough, and they don't let others know, what it is that is about them as a person that's impacting their individual worlds. I really, appreciate and value what you brought in. And I experienced this over the last couple of months. My dad was going through a real serious situation. And, because of that, I was able to relate to a few staff members who were actually holding in a lot of stuff that they were dealing with personally. And by me talking about my situation, I was able to let them unload and actually feel a hell of a lot better about their circumstances and understand that we're in it arm in arm, and we got one another's backs.
Well, we can't be a time bombs as leaders.
Yeah.
And again, you have to have release mechanisms, whatever that is. And, and I think about it, with my daughter getting married and all kinds of things going on in my world. And, I still have to come in and I've got to make sure I'm waving to the bus drivers, greeting every kid, making sure every staff member's in a good place. And then showing that body language, that effect of welcome, everything that we do. That's so important as administrators, and it is hard. And I'm sure no matter where you are, whether you're in Massachusetts or in Texas and California, it doesn't matter. We all face the same thing, but we're all human beings. So we have to be able to self-regulate that and go about our job and do what we have to do. So, let's kick it down to Beatrice. Your turn.
Well, thank you for having me. What a topic this is. And I really appreciate hearing the different perspectives because, yes, Chris, you brought up a really good point in how it is so important that we ourselves are vulnerable. We ourselves as leaders also go through different things, and it does bring to understand the different scenarios that people in our team are going through and our children as well. I think that these last 2 years have been particularly challenging because as we go through the pandemic, I lost my dad through that. And not just that, but, as an adult, there's different coping skills. There's different things that we as adults have learned how to cope with very difficult situations when they come about. And, having to coach someone through maybe that fear when you're going through it yourself can be very difficult. But how important our role is, especially understanding that our children who have not developed those coping skills, when they go through something as traumatic as that, how much more they need us. And I think it's been most important for myself and really this year, 2022, when we came back from our fall semester, it was so, I found it as critical to come back and really revisit our purpose, our why. And I know we hear that a lot, but truly get connected with that. That's one of the very first things we did coming back, and myself beginning with me and our team, is we revisited our why and revisited and rewrote our mission statement, our personal mission statement, because I think that unless we're grounded in that, everything else, it can feel like it's a lot. But when we're connected to our purpose, I think that's what brings value to our work. So it doesn't just feel like work, but every day you're living out your purpose. You're living out your life mission. And so you're right. There is a time to be vulnerable as well and to share that with one another, because part of it is, and in sharing your story, you're making others know that they're not going through it alone. So I think that this is a really good topic, and I know that there's a lot of things that we're going to learn from each other.
Without a doubt, I'm listening to you speak, and I'm thinking about the super importance of really reestablishing your why and understanding that, because it's very easy to get distracted by the negativity in the world and the targets that are being placed on everybody else's backs, right? The lack of confidence and comfort level in educators, right? Social media is clearly a powerful force, but it's also an enemy. And if you get caught up into the negativity that's sent your way, we can really lose sense of what it is that we're doing and why it is that we're doing what we're doing. Staying grounded and centered, extremely important. Les, thoughts on where we're at, where you're at?
So at the school we're at, so I'll see your pandemic and I'll raise you one school getting like torn down and rebuilt again from the ground up. So we're like going through this huge renovation of our entire campus right now. And to me, what it seems like is, things that aren't a big deal are getting amplified to become like these massive problems that they're really not. Like someone parking on the line is becoming this big deal in the parking lot when it's really something else deep down. So I found like, having them come sit down, vent a little about the parking, and then you get to the real issue. And then that's when you can kind of have that conversation, what you all are talking about. Like, yeah, it's been hard on me too. Here's what's going on with me. Like, I can see how you're doing. And then, they leave your office and, a little bit more comforted knowing that they're not alone in this, and you're aware that we're all kind of struggling. We're all here for the same goal. Like we want our kids to be successful. Like in the end, like that's our thing here.
So what are some of the things you're doing in your building to ensure that people are good and that people are in a good place? We can do the things such as covering classes, making sure that somebody gets a day when they need one, sitting and talking with kids and just letting them vent and just be themselves. But within your schools, what are you doing special? I mean, we're just one person sometimes, and there's 600 or 700 or 800 kids and 100 staff members. So what's your magic? What is it that makes you special as a leader that gives you that power to be able to make that difference? And let's go up to Les to start off, and from your position, let's work it around.
That's tough. So I'm not sure if I have magic or whatever, but I think I have.
You do if you're in a leadership role, you have magic. You just don't realize it. You just do it.
I think that being genuine and honest when you're having a conversation, I think that is the key thing. And I think at some points I could be honest to a fault. So I try just to be upfront and, get to the key issues, what's really going on here. And yeah, I've done the covering classes. I've helped find with grading things. I do all those little things too. I have kids come into my office with their parents, the instructional gaps. Like the program that the kids are in for me is pretty demanding. So they get stressed out very easy. So it's kind of going over, the grading bands and things like this to let them know that they're going to be okay, that there's things in place. We have things that catch you and do things. But I really think just letting them know, when they ask a question, like don't, avoid the issue, just, answer it,
Love it. Good stuff. Beatrice?
Yes. You know what? I think it's magic, right? I love how you said that. I think it's admitting that we need each other. So one of the things that I have found to be most powerful, especially here lately and with everything that's going on, is not delegating, but creating opportunities to build more leaders so that you can multiply the efforts across the campus. So with that comes the importance of making sure we have a clear set goal. And so what we've done, and I actually started it in November, is rebuilding and fine-tuning our leadership team. And so we have 3 different categories. One is academics, the other one is leadership, and it's culture. And each one has the tribe leaders, and then it has tribes. And so we have everyone that helps to lead so that all of our efforts stay unified. And I think that this is something, this is something that has actually helped to keep us focused for the second semester so that we can prioritize and keep what's important to being important. It's made us revisit decisions and maybe put different things on hold. What is it that we can take off of people's plate? What is it that we can invest in? And again, looking and seeing how all of that is going to help for student outcomes and student success. And so, you know what? I think it's multiplying more leaders so that, again, not one person. I don't have all of the answers. And a lot of times when I have other leaders surrounding me, we can brainstorm ideas. And a lot of times their solutions are going to be much better. So that magic for me is just knowing and understanding that we need to multiply more leaders so that there's more support for our students.
That's the baton. I love it. Josh?
Well, building on what Les and Beatriz said, I think those are kind of the things that happen at Memorial Pathway Academy. And it's just other things that, not to repeat myself, but we're not in the math business. We're not in the science business. We're not in the history business. We're in the people business. And ultimately, I think that that's been one of the situations where, like Les says, you can't fake the funk. You always got to be honest. Okay, you have to have those conversations, and people will always respect you for that. Making sure that you have there's no cards up your sleeve. You're having this conversation. You're talking about what's in the best interest of kids, what's in the best interest of the team, and as long as you're consistent with that, and you role model that expectation with all the team members, with everybody, that truly an open door policy means that. Open door policy does not mean that your secretary blocks kids. Open door policy doesn't mean that teachers have to set up a meeting with you or a time. No, I'm sorry. My 2 cents. Obviously, people do things differently, all right? I'm not here to judge or anything. I'm just saying For me, open door policies, I tell the students, anytime you have anything, you come and see me. You don't ask anybody. Any team member, they have my number. They could text me at any time. Doesn't matter when. If they need to come and see me, the door is always open. And people hear my conversations. I don't care about that, because you know what? That's our primary role. That people feel that they have that support and that they have that ear. And if they have that, and they don't have like a guard dog preventing them your door. Oh no, you can't talk to the principal. Oh no, you can't do that. And you know what? Then that's phony. You're not a servant leader.
Yep.
You're not. Because you know what? Your door is closed only to selective people and selective times. And during this time, you can't have that mentality. You can't have that philosophy. People need to be able to reach out to you, because you know what? Corona hits you at 1 a.m. You know what? Kids get sick at midnight. You know what? Your building might get broken into at 2 a.m. There's so many different situations to where you cannot have that old 20th century factory style management system mentality in a brand new chapter of education of our profession. So right now, you need to make sure that an open door policy means that third grader, that seventh grader, that sixth grader, that senior, can I talk to the principal? My God, even if they want to do that, you know you did good. Yep. That kids want to go talk to you. And it might be over nonsense, but you know what? To them, it was crucial that they talk to their administrator, and that's when you know you laid the strong foundation for your vision, which is student success.
Chris?
100%. You know, Josh, I'm not going to push back on the 24/7 mentality, but I am going to make a statement that one of the things, and I've got 3 items to talk about here. One is, modeling the shutdown in the personal world. And making sure that there is balance behind, what the educator is expected to do on the clock and off the clock versus, their personal time. I think it's very essential that on the weekend, educators don't focus 100% on the job. We shouldn't be checking emails 24/7. We shouldn't be engaging with parents on the weekends as a classroom teacher. We shouldn't be thinking about them at 8:30, to 12 o'clock p.m. to a.m. It can't be done. And that's going to take a very exceptional personal toll. I will answer emails on a weekend. I will answer emails on a vacation, but I am religious about setting, and Dean knows this, my out of office reply that really lets folks know. After 4 o'clock on Friday, I am taking time for myself and my family. I will get back to you. Your message is important to me. However, I am going to go ahead and take care of that business that I need to take care of for self and for family and for greater purpose. But I will be here for the organization. And, if for me, that's modeling for the teachers about I've got your back. If a parent is angry that you don't respond to them on a Saturday, you're working on Monday. And that is 100% okay. So I'm not pushing back on you on that. And I am there 120% of the time. But I do think it's important for us to model for the educators.
And I understand that, Chris. Also, trust me, I 100% of what you're saying, because you know what? I got a 2-year-old, I got an elementary kid, I got a middle school kid. I got you. I feel you. But, there's no but, because I agree with you. Just understanding that with our tenure, our tenure of 30 years,
I'm there with you, man.
we know that we rather turn off the problem as a match than a forest fire.
100.
And then if we don't check what that team member might want to tell us during our lunchtime and we're eating, if we don't stop what we're doing during a certain conversation, and then we know that this is going to go nuclear, we got to be able to turn it off at the earliest stage.
Oh, I'm right there with you, man. We're there. We're present. We are going to make their day. And going back to fish philosophy, man, we're going to play and we're going to be there. We are going to be the wind underneath their wings. The second piece, for me is, again, this was instilled in me by my initial administrative mentor, the first superintendent who I was able to work under as an administrator. Be hard on the issues and soft on the people. The idea that, everybody's going through a situation. It's not about them. It's not about their history. It's about the issue that's at hand. If it's in the best interest of kids or if it's in the best interest of the educator that's going through the issue, we've got to go ahead and support them. We've got to take care of the problem. but we're not placing blame on a person. We're not putting pressure on an individual. We're hard on the issue. We're soft on the person. We're taking care of everything that needs to be taken care of with them. That's something that I really I hope I uphold in my interactions and my engagement, with my faculty and my staff, my students, my parents, the caregivers, the community. And then the third piece is honor innovation, but respect tradition. We can't expect everybody to light fires all the time and go in different directions. If somebody wants to, however, and it's in their best interest and in the student's best interest, and I say because we can't always say if it's best for kids, it's best for teachers. We've got to make sure that it's mutually beneficial. We can't say it's good for kids, so you have to do it. But the idea of honoring innovation, if somebody wants to break the mold and go forth, you got it. You need me to get your resources to get it done? I'm there for you. I'll figure out a way. But if I've got somebody who does it really well and has been doing it really well for 15 to 20 years and they're getting the job done, you don't have to change because teacher X down the hallway changed. Keep doing what you're doing. Think maybe a little bit differently, possibly, but I respect what you've done. So those three things, kind of where I come from.
Work smarter, not harder. And one thing that we've been remiss to say, and I'm going to say this publicly, not only for all the educators in my building, but for around the country, they're killing it. They're doing a great job. And if you're a teacher listening, please know that as an administrator, we're all very proud of you. And you know what? Can we bring you a coffee once in a while? Can we go in and give you a high five? Can we go and just say, hey, listen, leave a sticky note and say you're doing a great job? Those are things that we can do. But teachers around the country are just getting it done. I don't even want to think crispy right now. And I get it because I know it's a whole different world post-pandemic. And you know what? There's a lot going on this year. And reigniting, getting back to the old way that we were learning is a hard thing to do, okay? Because it's going to take some time. But now just thinking off the top of my head from a leadership standpoint, accessibility, follow through, and consistency. If we do that and we lead by example and doing those type of things, your building will be on fire with a positive culture. And I can just see that across the board anywhere that you go. All the greatest leaders I know aren't afraid to be out in front, leading by example, but also being humble, humility, and just being there and being that person that you can turn to for anything. It's so super huge for successful administrators. My question here that I'm going to throw out to you guys right now is, what's next? What more can we do? What's going to happen 3 weeks down the road? We just passed the second term, going into the third term. We're into the home stretch. State testing is coming our way. You're going to have end of the year activities you're going to start planning for, thinking of all that stuff. How are you going to get there? How are you going to keep the climate going in the way that it's going? And let's start off with this one here with Josh.
You know what, Dean? It's just one of those things where you just got to daily check the pulse of the body, check the pulse of how that's going for us here in North Dallas. We had to go from snow to ice. Remember, we had to shut down the school, and then we had to open up the school. And
I'm still blown away by that down there, okay? All right? We drove to school this morning with this much ice on the road, all right?
Well, not here. We closed everything down here. And it's one of those things is, what are we doing that's in the best interest of the climate and the culture of the campus? Yeah. How are the kids going? Is it time to have a class meeting? Is it time that during lunchtime you accentuate the positive with the students? What specifically are we doing to ensure the success, the daily triumphs of each campus of that day? Because you know what? Success breeds success, and that's what we need to keep on showing right now. Right? My TV's on right now, and you know what? All it is World War. Mm-hmm. And then after that, we have disease numbers. After that, we have economic situations. You know what? And then that doesn't include our students' noise, the effects of all that's going on in society. Yep. So for me, and to answer your question, is to make sure is that we continue injecting positivity in the bloodstream of the campus, making sure that the kids know that during those 8 hours, they're loved, they're cared for, and they're always reminded, you know what? Los queremos. We love you. We want the best for you. Mm. We're here to support you. We're here to provide you the blue linus blanket to make sure that during this time, you avoid all the noise. And it also goes for our team members. Los queremos. We love what you're doing for our kids. Stay together, roll in the same direction, and always us keep that pulse. Put it right
Mhm.
here. See what's going on, and you gotta you know you gotta be away. You gotta be in the cafeteria. You gotta be greeting the kids. You gotta be at the exit. You gotta see everything. The body language is your number one thing that tells you. And at high school, you know that. At middle school, you know that. When there's about to be a fight, you know everything. You know everything by the body language of the kids. So as long as you're present and you're visible, I think that you will do an effective job. You cannot do that behind your desk.
Beatrice?
I think what one of the things right now to keep things centered is really going to, it comes back to intentionally celebrating um, what we are putting at the forefront as our priority, what we're saying is important to us, that is our students and their achievement. And so, one of the things that we're working on, that I'm looking at to see, is what can we remove from it being a distraction. Like you said earlier, Josh, everything right now, sometimes when we turn on the news and when we look around us, can be distracting. And it's not that it's not happening around us, but when our students come into our building, what is it that we can do to create that safe environment? And not just our students, but also our team members, and really being intentional about what is it that we're going to celebrate. So it's not just going to be, yeah, this is the quietest line, or this, but it goes back to, with this class had the most growth. This is a student that was able to show the most growth right now for the middle of the year. A lot of the different assessments that we've done, and celebrating what we are. It's not just a pass or a fail, but knowing that we have come a long way from the beginning of the year, and really highlighting on those things that we're saying is important. I think that when we're intentional about that, it also shows that the efforts our team is investing is being valued, it's being observed, it's something that is being taken into account.
Celebrate smiles and welcoming them back into school and making sure they're feeling comfortable. Good stuff. I love that. Really good. Les?
Yeah, so kind of Beatriz was saying the same sort of sentiment. I think a lot of the positive things that are happening on the campus or with the students are kind of getting lost in all that noise that's being out there, the issues on the news and things like this. There's a newsletter that goes out every week at our campus, and it kind of highlights, student achievement, teacher achievements, and for whatever reason, it didn't go out this week. And the internet kind of failed for the principal sending it. And I mean, the whole campus was uproar about it. Like, they wanted their newsletter to know what was good, what was bad. And that was a kind of a cool thing that, it's something that everyone gets every day, and everyone looks forward to it, apparently, that we all learned from this, like, 1 week of that happening. And, teachers kind of will focus, not too, like, kids being out, but they're out doing good things. They're winning trophies and doing championships. They're getting orchestra awards. They're doing all kinds of cool things. And I think that can disappear sometimes in this news and the tardies and the building's not working, my key doesn't fit, the door, these kind of things. But there's a lot of cool things happening. I think maintaining that focus and highlighting them in a very genuine way, not just academics, but all the fun stuff that kids like too, I think it's a good thing. Like, I think that needs to continue to kind of keep the momentum going.
Les, I think you just nailed the answer to Coach's question that he had posed that was up on the screen there, in terms of, how do we encourage excellence, and achievement by our teachers, in this climate of stress. We focus on those successes. We got to find those opportunities for recognition. I'm sitting here thinking about something that I hadn't seen in quite some time. We just had the great fortune of the local cultural council in town sponsoring a guest speaker at school today for our 5th and 6th grade kids. This guy called Len Cabral, right? He's just a storyteller. He's a Cape Verdean, and his ability to engage kids and educators with visualization of the stories that he was telling was phenomenal. It wasn't something that we've been able to do for the past couple of years with COVID, right? We couldn't have large gatherings in the auditorium. We couldn't have this guy come into the school. Today, we were able to get back to a sense of what the teachers, who've been working with the kids for years in this capacity, felt like it was normal. He'd been in the building a long time. Being able to get back and recognize, the accomplishments, and again, kind of going back to honoring, innovation and respecting tradition. We've got to get teachers back into their mojo. but also have them understand that all those tools and tricks that they learned during this COVID pandemic. I was in another classroom today where the teacher was completely utilizing G Suite with her in-person students. They all had Chromebooks out. They were all engaging in a shared and paired text up on the screen and on their device, and they were actually editing it and adding comments together to build this wonderful class written poem. And I'm like, man, that never would have happened 3 years ago. There's no way. So the teacher hearing that feedback, hopefully that teacher understands that there was a big win in identifying what she took for granted as just being what I planned for the day. It was actually kind of blowing me away. And the assistant superintendent for teaching and learning was with me. So he was like, wow, this is really quite impressive. So it's identifying the things that folks take for granted in ways that we see as being a change maker.
Inside the red zone, we have less than 2 minutes to go. What do you tell that person in your building who just seems to be struggling a little bit? That's a real tough one, okay? But as a leader, we have an obligation to be able to turn that frown upside down, move back, and focus it on the kids. So what do you say to that person that just needs that little pick-me-up? And why don't we go with Beatrice? You start off.
I think, first acknowledging how they're doing, how acknowledging that, and that you understand, you're here for them, but at the same time, finding a way to connect it back to our students. And just like it's difficult for us adults, imagine our students. Look at Johnny. He's really depending on you. What can I do to support you so you can be there for Johnny? Bringing it back, it's going to be important to acknowledge that sentiment, acknowledge that, yes, you're there, but also identifying maybe a strength and taking it from that point. But I really like the way that you are supporting students when you're doing this, the way you've been able to develop that area. And I've seen that growth. So I wonder what we can do to now develop this area that seems to be of concern. So again, acknowledging it, but finding a way to grow the person, because you know what? We still have a ways to go. Our students still need us, and we can still be there for one another. So I think that sometimes it's just having the opportunity to speak out loud to someone, brainstorm ideas with someone, and maybe just bring that word of affirmation. Hey, you know what? There are some good things that you've done, and we can replicate that, So I think that's one way to do that.
Love it. Les.
I think I agree. So finding a building point from that person, there's at least something good. If they're work, they're trying, no one wants to go to work and be bad at what they do. No one wants to go and do the worst for kids. I think I took a walk with the teacher yesterday to go get lunch with him, and he's having discipline issues, and we kind of talked about like how to kind of tighten up his routine and things, and he has everything in place. He's just kind of getting it together. So, and I think that's what it is too. There's always there's something you can find positive and work from there and build on it. And things get better. I mean, there's always
power of positivity. I'll tell you right now, you got to lead them to the water. I love it. Great stuff. Chris.
I think everybody has something that they brought to the table when we hired them or when they came on board, and their contributions to the team need to be acknowledged and validated. Not everybody has to do things lockstep, but there are times where the stress level is overwhelming, and understanding that, getting back to what Beatrice said earlier, about finding your why and centralizing on your purpose, having that conversation, refocusing, reframing, and letting them understand that not everything's going to go perfectly, and that's okay. But you got to find the bright spots, and you got to build off those bright spots. And, if you're not comfortable doing it yourself, find the marigolds. Don't hang out with the walnut trees. And those of you who read that blog from a few years ago, find those marigolds. They're going to brighten your day, and they're going to help pick you up.
And I'm going to go with recalibrate when you have to. You know what? No one's perfect. We're all human beings. We all make mistakes. And if it's okay. We're asking people to take risks. With risks sometimes comes, failure. And failure is part of learning. There's no doubt about it. But what we want to make sure we do is help people not repeat a pattern that brings attention to them, whether it's students, whether it's staff. You know what? We get in this business to help people move forward. And we have to work really hard at making sure we continue to do that as leaders. Josh, we're going to end it with you, and you're going to lead into Sunday night a little bit for us. Okay, my friend?
Got it. This year, the analogy I've used with our team members has been that Hawaiian boat with everyone paddling, and you got that leader in the back hitting the drum, and everyone's row in the same direction. And it's about always rowing together, because every single last person rowing on each side of that boat is crucial. And the amount of pull through. And I showed this video that I got from YouTube, and I showed them how important they are. And that's what I would tell them. You are such an important part to this boat, to this journey that we're taking, to this race in this school year. And I value you for what you do. Thank you very much for being on board. And let's keep on rowing together, because that's the only way we're going to get our kids across that finish line. We cannot be off, because the second that one of us is off in the paddle, the boat slows down, and we're not going to win the race. So it's very important that we keep on beating that drum, and then we all row. It's a great example. It's a great visual, and that is really what this year is. But you know what? This has been an awesome conversation. I would like to thank Beatris, Les, Chris, Dean, and this Sunday, please join us for Unlock the Middle at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, because we're going to have a great guest, Principal Gaskell, and he's going to talk about his book that he wrote. So join us, please, and we want to hear from you, and it has to do with the topic that we're addressing right now, the trauma that our kids are facing during this time, during this pandemic. And it's not just only the pandemic, but other issues that our students and our team members go through. So thank you very much for joining us today on Thursday for the Red Zone. And I feel that today, ladies and gentlemen, we scored another touchdown. Great job, everybody.
We did. We got a question on the floor right here. What was the name of the video?
Oh, just look for the rowing. I just put in Hawaiian rowing boat.
Touchdown, baby. Touchdown.
Deanna, you can find that out there on the web.
You're awesome. All right. We hope we answered all the questions, Josh. Great job rounding it all up for us. Hey, on behalf of everybody on the call tonight, thank you so much. We appreciate you. We appreciate collaborating. More importantly, we appreciate becoming better together. And that's what this is all about. So with that being said, have a great rest of the night, and we'll see you Sunday night. Stay on, everybody.